Well, hello. Dan Turbyville here, and this is Powerhouse Fence Show. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for hanging out with us. Today, I have Perry Parker, and Perry is so he's one of our estimators.
I am.
And do we tell them what's happening tomorrow?
We can.
Okay.
I mean,
So Perry's last day at Memphis Fence is tomorrow. And so this seemed like probably maybe our only opportunity to sit down and do this. So we decided to give it a shot and see how it goes. And I don't know, Perry came from the metal roof industry. So we're going to talk about kind of that transition and some of the differences, pros, cons, something like that. And just kind of see what his opinion is of stepping into the fence industry from an outside industry. And that's the plan. So, as always, the show sponsored by Memphis Fence Company in Sao Paulo. And now, if you notice, right up here above my head, there's a new logo. And that new logo is Valgard.
Valgard.
But what is it? Valgard Strategic something? I don't even remember. It's not big enough. I can't read it. Let's see. Now we'll be able to see it. Valgard Strategies Group. Man, that's embarrassing. So that's my own business, and I didn't even know the name of it. Basically, a design consulting firm for perimeter security, and I have successfully had clients so far, and just now changed the stuff here and added the logo. And we'll talk about that more later. This episode's about Perry. And, you know, we have some partners on the show. So we have the Thornton Fence Consulting Group. I've seen Tony's doing a bunch of stuff in Yellowstone right now at the AFA event that's happening there. We have Fence News, Fence Industry Publication, and we have EZG Manufacturing. They are the ones that make the big orange equipment that you see at trade shows. So all of those people, we like their stuff, we like them, and we let them be partners with us. And I don't know, is there anything else? Oh, I'll tell you what I'm listening to. That's I don't think I talked about it last week. I'm not positive, but I've been listening to Henry Ford's autobiography. And this book was written in 1922. And the intro section of it was a lot about society and what kind of his opinion of what people do right and wrong in government. And like it just kind of went into a lot of stuff. And what was really cool to me was how much of that I felt like would still be said today, right? A lot of the things that he said we could apply to today's world. That was real crazy to me.
History will repeat itself.
Indeed. Or maybe do things never change, Perry?
Some things.
Yeah.
I mean,
so that's, I don't know. Anyway, check it out. It's pretty cool so far. And it's neat to hear him tell his story of life. Right. So he goes all the way back to like when he was born and when he was a kid, and he wound up tinkering with a watch. And like he said at one point, I think he had like 300 watches that he just would like repair for people and stuff like that because he enjoyed it.
He definitely changed our whole world with the assembly line.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so he grew up on a farm. And so that was really his early interest in the being a machinist and like, you know, mechanics and stuff like that, was to get rid of humans having to plow. And he was like, this is a crap job and no human should have to do this.
But wasn't by the end of his life, he had a replica of older farms because he didn't like the new tech?
Probably.
So,
and maybe just for nostalgia and stuff like that. But yeah, no, that's kind of where he started. And then he figured out like, I don't think he thought that it was worth going down that path because there would be far more automobiles and you could help people out a lot more. But to hear him tell the story, he's really big about the product and the service and things like that you provide, more so like it wasn't about making money. Right. He's kind of like, hey, if you do a good job, provide a good product, provide a good service, then the money's going to come. So anyway, interesting thing. You see over there in the corner where that live thing is? Mm-hmm. That's blocking all my stuff, you think, in real life or no? I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyway, the Henry Ford autobiography published in 1922 is pretty cool. So, as always, thank you all for being here. I appreciate everybody that listens to the show. I sit here and do this every single week for you. If you want to hear something, let me know. If you got questions, whatever, there's a big phone number that is now permanently attached to the bottom of the screen. So you can call anytime you feel the need. And with that, I'm done with the intro part. So now I'm going to take a nap. Perry, you go ahead. Tell us your story.
Okay, so 20 years ago or so, I started doing metal roofing, or actually in the metal building industry. They eventually moved me into the metal roofing. Um, and I've done that up until I came here, pretty
Yeah.
much. Um, it was a pretty good transition. I would have to say that the architectural drawings are not near as complete as I feel like they should be sometimes.
Mm,
um, and that's typical. I feel like that's typical since we got away from hand drawing and went into copy and paste world,
oh, yeah.
and just part of modern society or business or whatever, however you want to put that.
Right. So now instead of someone actually having to put the thought into creating a drawing for a project, they just copy and paste it.
I feel like we end up with more errors than they would have when someone used an eraser and a pen on a drawing board.
So met with a client the other day, right, for Valgard. And when I was with them, I was asking him some questions and talking about the details of the fence that were in the plan set. And he says, "Oh yeah, those are just there as a placeholder. Like someone just stuck them there from another job." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's actually what we normally get as a placeholder." Right. And then I had a conversation with another architect the other day, and they were kind of like, "Yeah, when we put fence drawings in there, it's more of like an intention, right? So our that this is our intention that the fence looks something like this and serve this purpose, and from there you can kind of do whatever you need to do to make it work." And I was like, "No, that's not how that works."
It's not fair to the end user, in my opinion,
Mm,
because they're not getting apples for apples.
right.
So, I mean, you could have one guy quoting a Cadillac fence and one guy quoting a Pinto.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think that's what happens a lot. Fence Guy Podcast stopping in saying good evening. Thanks for being here. Good to see you. So I agree with you. And that's the point that I've made to the people that I've talked to in this consulting world is like, man, you wind up and you've got the people that will come in here and bid a project and they bid the bare minimum, right? And they're just going to bid whatever it says in the plans, specs, details, whatever. And they're going to put the cheapest version of what they can put in there. And then they could, make an argument as to why it met what was in the design. And then you have people on the other side of it, which I think I try to operate on this other side where I think through a whole project and I will sit here and say, no, we know in real life, like one thing that you've ran into probably 40 times since you've been here is the sonotubes, right? So when we're putting fence around like a substation, a cell phone tower, I mean, any of these things that have this gravel that they're going to put in,
at 6 to 8 inch of gravel aggregate,
right?
you have to deal with it.
So that's one of the things that we always do, right? Is we'll bid it where we put sonotube in and we set the post in sonotube, let them come put gravel in it. We cut the sonotube off so it's not sticking up, and then we'll go back and put the fence on top of it.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people just bid it as if it's a normal job. And then if later in conversation that comes up, they're like, oh, well, you want it that way? Here's a change order. And so I think we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot a little bit because we probably don't sell as much work as we could by doing it that way. But at the same time, I don't feel like we're providing the service that we should if we just do the bare minimum, right?
I agree with you. If you, especially on repeat customers. Now,
Right.
bid market, it's kind of a lowest number at bid time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of people go out with that goal of having the lowest number at bid.
Yeah. And so that's where I think that it shoots us in the foot a lot is that we try to do it right instead of being the cheapest person. And I don't know how much that's received on the other end of it.
I think with your repeat customers, they know.
Yeah.
And they know that they're going to use you because they're used to dealing with you.
Mm.
and it might make it harder for you to pick up new customers because of that.
Right. So they kind of,
But you want a good experience for your customers too. So I feel like you're doing the right thing.
so what you just said to me is consistency is important though,
Absolutely.
right? Because when it's like when you go to Starbucks, okay, the reason why these chain things exist across the country is because you can go to them anywhere in the country and you get the same experience.
You get the same cheeseburger at McDonald's in Tokyo as you do in Memphis.
Right. And so I don't know if you get the same experience in Tokyo and Memphis, but you get the same cheeseburger, right? So, I mean, I think that same philosophy should apply to what we do in this industry. And so I think no matter who inside of our organization bids a job, sells a job, manages a job, whatever that is, I think the customer should receive the same experience.
Agree.
And so I don't know, that's for the sake of the viewers out there, right? Is just something to think about. But that's why I'm always real particular about proposals, right? Like you've seen that, you've experienced that where the wording's got to be what the wording has to be, and like it has to be formatted the right way and all that stuff, because I want them all to be the same. And so I want any contractor that's ever seen a proposal from inside this organization, I want them to get it and it be the same kind of feel and layout and stuff like that. So
they're at bid time, when they get it 2 or 3 hours before bid, they can look through it and know what they've got.
yeah, exactly.
And it makes good sense.
Yeah. All right. So let's rewind a little bit. So you worked in the metal building world, then you transitioned to metal roof world. So what did you do in that world?
I worked 10 years at a metal roofing manufacturing, selling metal roofing. And then I went to a subcontractor, same thing we do, installing metal roofing, which was a totally different experience from just selling the material. And I mean, I basically did the same thing we're doing here. I looked on the bid jobs, bid board, estimated, send out proposals, put material list together, and installed it.
Yeah. So you did, like you said, basically the same process. It's
just different
thing, but
yeah.
Same thing.
Same process.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what are some differences? Like what comes right off the top of your mind, or right off the top of your head whenever I say, what are the differences? Obviously it's a roof versus a fence, but
it, like I said, the drawings are not as clear. I feel like that roofs, a top down view, are more defined than say most fence drawings. However, if you start talking about wall panels and hidden areas, and it's about the same.
Right. So the roof is pretty well detailed and spelled out, but there are a lot of things in that world that are missing a lot of information, like what we experience here.
Well, and I mean, it's just a matter of wall panels are more hidden. They don't always draw elevations for every one of them. You have to dig a little more, and fence, that's kind of the same. Sometimes you got to dig a little more,
right?
And ask questions and RFIs, and make sure you're getting what the customer wanted.
So when you say wall panels, are you talking like a wall covering? So what would be on the exterior of a building?
Right. Exterior metal cladding.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure I understood what you were saying.
Yeah. Exterior metal cladding, or.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense that they wouldn't have an elevation of every single panel, but they're going to show you elevations of the whole outside of the building, right?
Yeah. But you may have interior corridors.
I see. So if you're doing it interior.
Well, I mean, it may be an exterior corridor, like at a school, let's say, and they got a little place where people can sit in between 2 brick walls before you get into the building.
Right.
And those kind of, I mean, you have to watch your floor plans, and it's more like a fence takeoff, in my opinion, in a way.
Right. I can see that.
I mean, even fence, if it goes under a roof plan, it will be hidden from you.
So I was actually thinking of a specific job that we did that was like that. And there was, I don't know, 15 or 20 sections that were under a roof where we had to put fence in between brick columns and gates and stuff like that. And like you said, it was a little bit tricky to find, and it wasn't very well drawn out.
for an inexperienced estimator, it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah. Well, I think
Which you're not.
I think you could make an argument that an inexperienced estimator is dangerous in general.
That's true. I mean, you can.
I mean, probably for any industry, right? It takes some years, man, and some time to really get good at going through a plan set. That was one of the things I talked about last week was like, do you think that how does somebody learn to read a set of plans, right? Is there an easy path to get there?
I think you start someone out just reviewing simply, just finding the fence.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, our helper that puts our jobs on the bid board,
Mhm.
you start them out with that. And then if you want them to transition into doing more complicated stuff, you can't throw them off the deep end at first, in my opinion. You kind of got to ease them into it. And because it does, I mean, some of these jobs are very complicated.
Oh gosh, is this the part where you tell me that I like to throw people off to the deep end?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I didn't. I'm just saying that
Because I have been accused of that a time or two in my life. So
well, I'm saying that for someone that's not used to it,
mm,
it's easier on them to take baby steps.
right.
But at some point, you do have to sink or swim. I mean,
I'm not
that's
very good at baby steps, man.
well.
You
I
know,
mean, I get it.
I know that they're important, but just honestly, I'm not very good at it. I don't know. That's the way that I operate, you know? So I was listening to a podcast this morning about Bill Gates, and he was described as being binary. Okay. In the sense that he either is all in or none in. So if he does a thing, he does it with all of him or he doesn't touch it at all. Right. So there's no in between, right? It's like a light switch. It's either on or off. There's no dimmer.
Right.
And so I don't know. I don't really know how that applies to throwing people in the deep end, right? But I know that I have a tendency of doing that, and that's the reason why I said it.
And I guess what I'm saying is, if you were to move someone from just reviewing to
Mhm.
doing takeoffs, you probably wouldn't want to start them out with a 200-page set of plans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
Yeah, but if they figure out how to do that one, then that 4-page set's gonna be super easy.
this is true.
They're gonna be like, "Man, I got this. This ain't nothing."
But if you did 5 to 10 4-page sets first,
Mm,
that might give you more experience to where the 200 set didn't
yeah.
feel as daunting.
Yeah, no, I agree. So if you're walking that path and it feels extremely just crazy, intimidating, whatever, to look at a set of plans and try to find fence. So I think what Perry's suggestion is something along these lines, and you correct me if I paraphrase wrong, that you can go out and download 10 or 15 different sets of plans and find one that's pretty small, pretty straightforward, and pretty simple and start there. Don't go straight to the giant plan set that's you got to use 27 different sheets to do your takeoff on. Start with a simple one that just has, a sight fence on one sheet and you can get right to the details. And so maybe if you open a plan set and it feels too complicated, maybe it is too complicated.
I mean, I agree. That's, if you were going to start doing construction full from start to finish, I don't feel like you'd start with a high rise building.
Yeah, probably wouldn't start with the Empire State Building.
No, you probably
Yeah.
would want a 1-story and maybe a little simpler than, you know, a 12,000 square foot factory. Now that depends, but
Yeah. Most of us crawl before we walk,
yeah, that's, yeah.
and then we run next.
And I mean, some just get up and start walking.
Right.
So
But not many start off at running.
no, very
Yeah.
few. I
Yeah.
agree.
All right. So you were an estimator and a project manager in the metal roof world.
Mhm.
Did you do the same thing for metal buildings?
I just estimated and drafted some
Okay.
Uh,
Were you were drafting like details?
details.
Yeah.
I was in the cleanup drafting department at first. I went in, I actually did about 2 years as an engineer tech.
Mhm.
So worked directly under an engineer for uh, making sure the buildings were up to code and wind speed. And, it had Florida building code if it's in Florida and SBC if it was in Mississippi back then, but now they've switched over to IBC 18. And so, going through the seismic and uh, loads.
Yeah. See? Nathan Downs. I like to just start running. I'm with you, man. I like to just start running. But all right, so you would, and this was like during the submittal stage.
No, this was after people had salesman had sold it, and I was going through before an engineer stamped the drawings and
Mhm.
just confirming and getting the drawings to him and that kind of so that he would stamp it and running the software to make sure that it was correct with the codes.
But okay, okay, and so you had to cross check everything with whatever code applied wherever the project was.
Right, wind speed and that kind of thing.
That's fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So that's one of the things that was interesting to me because I went down this path where I had a farm at one point. Before that, I was going to buy another one. And when I was looking at it, I put together this whole budget to build a metal building that I was going to put a house in. Right. So I was going to build an 80 by 120 pre engineered metal building, which I know you love those. And
Sort
so I was going to put a house in one end of it and then have the rest of it as an open shop area inside the house. And so when I was going through that thing, one of the things that was amazing to me was really the warranty, right, on the metal was pretty crazy.
20-year.
I think 25 on some and 50 on
They
some,
make 40, but
or maybe 40.
that's kind of prorated.
I mean, still, if you're getting a 25 or 40-year warranty, like you're not getting that on your shingles
Oh no,
and you're not getting that on your vinyl siding, I imagine, like,
I would agree with
or
that.
a house, right? So, yeah. So, I mean, it was just pretty cool to see the warranty of it. And then the other thing that was cool about it was the wind loads and the snow loads and all of that stuff that you could get with the metal building that seemed crazy to me. I mean, when they started talking, I want to say it was like 150-mile-an-hour wind load ratings and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I mean, that's pretty impressive, right? To me, it was.
I don't think that you're going to get too many people to quote you 150 though in this area.
Mm. That's what it seemed like. I remember on the.
Well, I guess from my experience, everyone wants to be competitive.
Mhm.
So if you're in New Orleans, they're going to quote you 150-mile-an-hour wind. In our area, we're at 90 mph
90.
or 120. And so why would you
Okay.
design I mean, unless you just want to and you want to spend the money to,
Right.
but most people are going to try to, that's that back to that lowest price deal.
Right. So when you build a house, is there a wind load rating with a house? Like a traditional house?
I don't know. And I don't feel like that today's houses are built with the same quality materials that
Oh, no.
yesterday's houses were built.
I don't think the material, I don't think the methods, I don't think any of it is what it used to be.
That's kind of one of my gripes about our society is that we build for 20 years and finance for 30.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny, a whole weird thing, right? So we talk about this, like how hard it is and how expensive homes are and all of that stuff. And then you look at what houses we all want to live in. And so we want to compare this to 100 years ago. And I just mentioned I was reading this Henry Ford autobiography. We talked about this earlier. And he said that his house that he built, and this was like later in life, this wasn't his first house. He was married and his dad gave him some land and he built a house on it. And he said they cut down the timber, they cut it into lumber, they used that lumber to build their house. And it was he said a 35-foot square. I assume 35 by 35 was like the footprint of the home. And they did it like all themselves, right? They built it themselves on their own land.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, 35 by 35, like that's a pretty small house by today's standards.
It is.
And, nowadays we all want to live in these 3 and 4 and 5,000 square foot houses and then complain about how expensive they are. And we want all of the, luxuries built into the house with all the crown molding everywhere and all of this other stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, they're expensive more than they used to be because that's what we want now. Like we've done it to ourselves. Same thing with cars. I mean, not to just get hung up on Henry Ford, but if you've listened to the show, I like Henry Ford. So anyway, here we are. And I mean, it's the same thing as like when he made the Model T, that he wanted it to be as simple as possible. Right. So I went on this whole tangent yesterday about the whole simplify thing and all of that stuff. Right. But he wanted it to be as simple as possible. And nowadays we make them so complex and they have so many computers and sensors and gizmos and gadgets. And well, yeah, they're more expensive.
Very few vehicles are utilitarian.
Right. Yeah. So I've
especially new. I mean, today.
on today's episode of Powerhouse Automotive Show. Um, so there's that one Toyota truck, right? I think it's a Toyota that they've been making that's like what $10,000, but they
Is
can't
that
sell it in the
available here?
US.
Yeah, right.
Nah,
So
no, they won't let them bring it to the US.
got a chicken tax on that.
Right, right. So if you don't know, the chicken tax is a real thing. You can look it up and you can learn about it because I'm not intelligent enough about it to speak about what it is, but there is something that goes back to what like
1970, I think. Or
is it,
it's something in this. I believe it's in the 70s.
and it had somehow it was related to like I they couldn't import like four-door trucks for a long time, or maybe the trucks had to have back seats. So you know those old like Nissan and Toyota trucks that had the little seats on the sides that would flip down? Those were a result of this chicken tax. Somehow they counted, I forget, it was like a loophole, right? And they were able to do that and import the trucks with those little flip down seats in the back. And it was all something to do with that chicken tax.
I'm not real sure, but yeah, that is a. I know that the small trucks and the chicken tax is a lot of the reason we don't have a lot of the smaller trucks in our country.
Right. Well, and I mean, that's another thing that we've done to ourselves, though, right? There are smaller trucks, but we want to go out and get the biggest freaking thing we can fit in the road.
And I guess what it's doing is it's making them where they're uncompetitive
Mm.
or less or more competitive with the bigger trucks.
Well, and then the manufacturers make what sells,
Well, that's right.
right? And so they all want to compete with one another to make this type of vehicle. But
I mean,
in order to make it, it fits in this price point,
the station wagon got rid of because of the Suburban
Mhm.
and big cars.
right?
I mean, and that's what we like.
It's America.
That's
We
right.
need some big trucks.
We do.
So, all right. All right.
I mean, you had a farm.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
You got to have stuff to move things.
I mean, I drive an F-250 now that like
You can move some stuff.
I can move things, but it's not like I really need an F-250 to be honest with you. Every once in a while, it's nice to have.
If you needed to get fence material from here to Nashville,
Well, I hope that one of these other freaking trucks, I don't know how many trucks we have today, but I know a few, like 3 months ago, there was 18 on our insurance policy or 20 or something like that, right? So, I mean, do I really need to be,
maybe not, but
you know what I'm saying? So, I have it. If I need it, it's there. I can do it if I have to, right? But I don't know. We just like that stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do too. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a truck.
Right.
It's not as big as yours, but
Yeah, but we can do truck stuff, man.
so
It's funny. So my truck, I have a bed cover on the back of it, and I treat the bed of my truck like a trunk in a nice car, right? Like I don't want to put anything dirty in the bed of my truck. And it's like, what? How crazy is that? It's a freaking pickup truck.
so you're
But-
not putting an engine block in it.
Oh no, absolutely not. Not a chance. I don't know, man. I'm very particular about vehicles though. I went and ate lunch with somebody the other day and I parked like a quarter mile from the restaurant so that I didn't have to park near anyone else. And I was like out there by myself.
I do that at Walmart. So
Yeah.
I don't want dings.
I agree. I can't stand that stuff. And people are just disrespectful.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Nathan says, you carry your golf clubs and groceries back there. So if I played golf, I indeed would carry my golf clubs, but I don't. But yes, I do carry groceries back there. So, and it's super nice. You just throw them back there in the back and they just ride along.
That's right.
And then you open it and they've slid all the way to the front of the bed and you get to climb in there and fish them out.
But you got nice step downs on the back on that one. So
Yeah.
it's not too bad.
Yeah, you got there's some I believe there's some derogatory nicknames about that step that Ford puts in their tailgates.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what they are. I can't remember, but they do exist. People make fun of that.
I am unfamiliar, but
Yeah. So anyway, my brother gets so mad at me if I say anyways. So I've really tried to not, just for his sanity. All right. So you went from the metal building world and so we interviewed, right? We had a conversation about you coming to work here. We sorted it out and you came to work. So I'm curious about, and I don't want this to all be one question. I'm just kind of going to let you know where I would like us to head. So I'm curious about that transition, what you expected when you walked into the fence industry, the realization of walking into the fence industry, and kind of what did you experience versus what did you expect to experience?
I don't feel like it was very much what I expected different than what happened. One of the main reasons I came to work for you or even crossed my mind was because I was so intrigued with you having Simpalo.
Mm,
And I still think that that is an awesome thing that you have created your own software to do estimates because, well, before I got into metal roofing, my original 2-year major was computer science.
hmm.
So Simpalo and you having your own really intrigued me and impressed me.
Yeah. So you spent your computer science. You also spent just what I've picked up in conversation with you, a tremendous amount of time building stuff in PlanSwift and
I
other
have
things like that that you used in the metal
roofing
roof
and
world.
yes,
And so you have a lot of experience in different like estimating softwares and different computers and software in general. So yeah, I know we've talked about that a good bit. Um
but
so so I'm okay with transparency, and I try to be who I am all the time, right? And that camera view just chops your face right behind
there
that
we go.
thing. Sorry guys, we can't swap cameras. We didn't set that up well enough. But so Simpalo, it does what it does, and it get like what 95%.
It's really good.
It does good.
It really does good. I mean, it's not the first day I was ready to beat my head on the table because I
Hmm.
couldn't figure out how to put a gate in.
Hmm.
But
Man, every time I do an onboarding with anybody, I'm like, all right, I need your undivided attention right now because I'm going to show you how to put a gate in here. So, yes, you're not alone in that.
but once I got past that, it's it's really well. I mean, I'm impressed.
So, it has little quirks,
It
and it takes
does.
a little bit of time to get used to it. And that's what I try to be transparent with people, like when I'm doing demos and stuff like that, and tell them that, like, hey, just so you know, you're not going to sign up for this thing and do what I do in 10 minutes, right? It's going to take you some time to get used to it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it does what it does pretty well. And it, it has little quirks and little stuff here and there because it's not it's not developed by a giant software company,
No, I
right?
mean you need to back check a little, and that's under you should.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just part of estimating is back checking what you're doing.
right.
I mean,
Well, that's cool. So, what about the complexity of the fence world?
it's pretty. I mean, it is more complex than I would have anticipated.
Mm,
Absolutely. I mean that the between automation and multiple types, and it definitely wasn't boring,
right,
and which I like. I mean, I kind of I like a complicated job.
right. And I do too. I like challenges, right? I like
I
things
mean,
that,
if I did boxes every day, that'd get boring.
right,
I mean, just being honest,
right. And I'm not I mean, even in the fence world, like I don't get super excited to bid a 6 foot tall chain link fence.
I can imagine that's
You
kind
know,
of boring to you.
right. But I mean, there are scenarios where like the site and all of that stuff make it challenging, and the automation or access controls make it challenging. But I mean, in general, if I'm bidding a 500-foot straight line, a 6 foot tall chain link, I'm like, oh, okay. And I mean, we do it, but it's not that exciting. So yes, I agree. I like things that are challenging. I think,
A square substation is not the
yeah,
most challenging.
yeah. Perry and his little 60 by 60 substations that are 3 hours away.
It was what I had to quote.
We did a lot of them, man. We did a lot of them. But yeah, so I think I wanted your take on that because that seems to be something pretty consistent, right? It seems to be that consistently as we bring people from outside the fence industry and put them into an estimator project manager role, I think people think that they're going to catch on to all the different options and the specs and styles and stuff like that of fence, and they'll think that a week from now I'll understand what I'm doing. And I always try to like pull those reins back and be like, all right, look, you got to understand there's a lot more options and stuff than what you think.
Which I think I had an advantage simply from being in metal to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
because I already understood gauges and thicknesses and finishes, and so that gave me a little bit of a head start from somebody just coming in new.
Right. Yeah. So you understood metal, right? Which is
And finishes.
what posts are, right?
Right.
And then we have,
Well, I mean, I get it. You got 2B black and green, and there's only, and I guess you can do a custom color, but being in the metal panel industry and I made a comment one time. They always talk about in a metal building that they talk about it in tons.
mm,
But if you're talking about cladding, you make more money selling paint,
mm,
because the paint is like a Galvalume roof's cheap.
right,
You get a copper metallic one, you're talking some dollars.
right. Yeah.
And it's the same meal or same thickness on the metal underneath. It's the paint's what
Right.
drives the price.
Right. Is it because they have to make a custom color, or is it because
Well,
of the cost of the raw materials going into the color?
it's the cost of the raw materials. I mean, you go out and buy a truck that's got copper or a speckled metallic flakes in it, or even go to repaint a truck.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get the same price for a solid color as you are for one that looks like a bass boat.
Right. Oh yeah, man. Aren't those coatings wild on bass boats?
They are.
Yeah, that stuff's crazy. So I mean, I don't know. Now that we don't really do too much custom fab work and stuff, we don't run into the coating thing a ton. You actually have recently had a fight with a bear on a project trying to deal with the coating.
Yes, sir.
So
the never ending problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't like dumpster gates, right? Just so if y'all have some jobs in Memphis that are dumpster gates, I mean, okay, we'll do it, but we're not going to be super happy about it. And I don't love them. But that's what Perry's been doing. He sold a job with some dumpster gates. And so we ordered the post coated from the steel supplier because they'll also powder coat. And so what you went on like Prismatic's website and picked a color, right?
Well, the customer picked the color. We got it approved. And I asked them I sent an email to to coat them in that color.
Mm.
And I got the posts, and well, I mean, there's lots of shades of gray. And I said, okay, we send it to our other supplier for the caps, which I'm not sure. I mean, it could be a little bit to do with the different material. I'm not, because I am not a powder coat expert.
Yeah.
But the caps came out quite a few shades lighter than the posts.
Right.
And
they were both told to coat the same color.
yes.
Yeah. So now we have post and caps that just sat on top of the post that are two different colors. And we've yet to build the gate frames and put the infill in it and all that, which also has to be coated. And so that's really where the fight came in, right? Was like, oh crap, which color?
What do we do?
Well, and wait a minute, they wanted like $5,000 to coat the gates, right?
They wanted, yeah.
I mean, it was astronomically expensive.
We had what, 30% of that in there?
Yeah.
Roughly.
So the original people that coated the post were way too expensive to coat the gates. And so we were trying to get the other supplier that did the caps to coat the gates and trying to figure out which color to do. And it was just a whole mess because the posts were already set in concrete slabs. It wasn't like we could just go pull them up and replace them.
No, I mean, are you going to have to paint them to match?
Right.
I mean, I
think one of the ideas was like, oh, we can cover it with some trim or something. And
that's another.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to have to be color matched. And I mean, and maybe it's the fact that the caps are cast iron and the posts are standard steel, but I don't know.
I don't think it makes that big of a difference. We powder coated a bunch of stuff. And when you powder coat a fence panel that has steel, like regular mild steel pickets that go into a cast iron finial that's welded to the top of them, you don't wind up with two different colors.
Okay. So then that's not
right. I understand. And yes, I think that was a theory that we talked about, right? Was, well, maybe that's a little different. But then I remembered, oh, wait a minute. When you build a fence panel that has a finial is welded to the top, it's cast. So I don't know what happened.
And I mean, I've ran across the problems in the metal roofing with two different coil batches.
Yeah. And so that we talked about that the other day, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a giant order and it takes more than one coil, you'll wind up with a little variation in the color just between the coils,
And
and
if
it
they're
all came from the same person.
right, and I mean, if it's across the street, it doesn't matter, but if you're installing it right next to the first order, that's, you know, you can tell.
Hmm. So, what's the hardest thing about the fence world, or what's been the hardest thing in your experience, not the fence world in general?
To me, it's the interior gates and doors,
Okay.
and checking, you know, when you have 20, 30 slide, swing, slide, two, you know, some are double swing, and all these different variations, and you're trying to make sure that you're accounting for everything properly.
You talking like in a warehouse with a bunch of cages or something like that?
That too, yes.
Yeah. Is it just because you want to make sure you get the right number of the right type of gates, or is it tied to like the hardware that goes on them and having different sets of hardware?
The hardware that goes on them and making sure that the door schedule matches the plan pages, and that you're putting the right hardware per the specs
Mhm.
on each door, because I mean, a lot of them will have the spec book will have the hardware laid out there with the door numbers,
Right.
and then they'll have details, and the details on the drawings may not match the spec book.
Right. So back to what we were talking about earlier. If it's your first time going through a plan set, you probably don't want that one, right? Just stay away from that. If they start telling you to go to the door schedule to look at all these different gates, you should probably just go on to the next one. Yeah, no, man, that's tough. And the you get the different hardware sets, and then you know sometimes what I've seen is you go through this whole thing, and the specs or the door schedule has one number of gates, and then you look at the plans and there's another number of gates, and so now you're like, all right, what's the difference? Like, what's missing, or what's extra, or what's going on? So that's the hardest thing.
To me, that was one of the harder things, is to lay out some. And I mean, it's good to
Mhm.
have something complicated, but that was one of the harder aspects of doing fence takeoffs.
We're doing this 100% on the fly. There's no notes for this
Oh no,
episode. We didn't rehearse nothing. Perry didn't know what questions I was going to ask. So if you do change your mind and want to throw something else about any of this
no,
later, we can come back to it, right?
no, it's live. I think we're set in stone.
Yeah, no. I'm saying in the conversation, if you're like, wait a minute, I remember what I should have said then, just let me know. We'll come back.
I could always call in one evening.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so you're going to call in like 3 months. Hey, you know, when you asked me this thing, so what's your favorite thing?
um, I, I really like the stone fence I did,
Hmm?
and I like different. I like the variety of profiles, or the amount of variance that you can. I mean, it could be a wood fence, it could be ornamental. You could do um, fence track with metal panels,
Yeah.
which, you know, or it could be vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the amount of different suppliers and options.
Yeah. Yeah. And so not everyone does that, right? There's some people in the world that kind of like narrow their focus, and this is what we bid on. We're not really like that. So yeah, I agree. That is cool. And kind of going back to my point about I don't get super excited about bidding 6 foot chain link. Well, it's because I've done it so many freaking times my whole life. And so it is, like you said, it's pretty cool when you get to bid something that's different or something new. And
High speed cable, or high impact cable.
yeah,
That
yeah.
would
So the crash rated stuff.
crash rated. That would,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I think we just bid one today that was a ballistic rated fence, right?
mhm.
I think Claiborne did that one today. So yeah, we run into all kinds of stuff.
Those panels were what, 600 pounds a panel?
Yeah. Yeah. Stuff's crazy, man. So we are in Memphis and we had this customer, and I think when we got the lead, the notes on it were something like, we have a chain link fence now, but people are just using us as target practice when we go out of the back of our business, and we need something that's going to keep them from shooting at us. It's like, golly.
I heard they found a bullet in the water line at that building.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's what, yeah. Claiborne said that they found a bullet inside the water line. So it went in, they came in one morning, there was water all over the floor, and they found the bullet that busted the pipe.
Jeez. Crazy stuff. Yeah. So one of the people I was thinking about is Dan Wheeler. We've niched down. I don't know how you say it, niched down to chain link and a white 6-foot privacy vinyl. So I listened to their show, and my interpretation or my understanding of it is they're really good at doing that. And so they focus on the stuff that they're really good at. And instead of having to go out and meet with a customer and be like, all right, which of these 618 options do you want? It's like, nope, these are the things that we do. We're really good at doing them, and we can offer you this. So, like I said, there's different mentalities in that. What do you offer kind of world, right? I'm just,
I mean, a lot of people like to stay in their lane,
yeah.
and I get that. But I also get that I like to see, like I said, we did the eco stone fence,
Hmm.
and that was pretty neat to me.
Yeah.
Um, and the customer sometimes dictates that wasn't because I chose it or told them to. That's just what they were requiring.
Yep. So that's what was in it when you bid it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we rolled with. Yep.
I don't think you've done that one before.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've done like 1 or 2 jobs of that stuff before. Definitely not very much. So it's, but it's cool. It's definitely a unique look, right? And
It is.
I mean, it's pretty easy to install.
I was
From
surprised.
Yeah. I mean, I think once he got over the whole fussing and the whole issue of the
Ground
crazy
condition.
grade and the stumps that were sticking up everywhere. And, when the site was right, I mean, he knocked it out pretty quick. So,
Just had to move a few posts around the stumps.
yeah. And grind off 1 or 2 of them.
We did.
Yeah. So I think on that job, there was the way it was explained to me, whether this is dramatized or not, I don't know. But he explained to me that there was one stump that was left like 16 inches tall, and they just threw sod on top of it and went on about their day.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
They covered it up with sod.
So when you go do a pre-site or a pre-construction walk, right? Because I try my best not to ever put us in the situation where someone calls and says, "Hey, we're ready for you," and we just send a crew, right? We like to go out and we like to look at it. Just poke around underneath that sod a little bit and make sure there's dirt under it, because they'll just freaking throw that crap on top of whatever's there and they'll go home.
And not a 3-foot diameter trunk.
Yes.
So,
Oh yeah, that's right. It was a giant tree too, right? Yeah. So 3-foot diameter, 16 inches tall, and they just threw sod on top of it.
I don't think it was 16 inches, but I do think it probably kind of domed the ground a little.
It was big.
Yes.
Either way, right? So
Up
yeah,
on top of a hill too. So
yeah.
it wasn't like you were getting a lot of equipment up there.
And there was an irrigation line that was like a foot from it
Within
or
a
something.
foot.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a fun one. A lot of that, and that's another thing that's cool about like the variety of what we do is it seems that every job that you get presents a new set of challenges, or as some people like to call them, riddles, right? Like you get new puzzles to solve when you get actually on a job and you start going. So that's cool too. I enjoy that. I like the challenge of things.
It doesn't always work out like you thought it would.
No. There's Isaac Alexander stopping by saying hello. So it indeed does not. And that's a crazy thing about bidding jobs, right? Is, man, you sit there and you look at a job and you're like, oh, if this, we could go out and we could put that in 3 days. And then it's like, okay.
What I like to say is everything works perfect on paper.
It does. It looks so beautiful when you look at it on that nice flat piece of paper.
In the field, it's not quite the same.
Yeah. I was looking at one the other day and they wanted to put V-track gates on here, and where the distance that the gate would have traveled when it opened, right? So I would call it where it parks when the gate is open. There was like 6 or 8 feet of fall. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to work, guy. Like you can't do that. I said, you can build a concrete wall and the gate slide across the top of that, I guess, but
They would have needed a stem wall.
right. And so,
Or Lambo gates.
yeah, you could do that. They didn't want that. They wanted sliding. They actually wanted V-track gates specifically. And we talked them into doing cantilever gates and going that route. So it worked out. But I don't know. People that are outside of whatever industry people are in, not everyone's an expert. and people rely on us to be the experts and to tell them what can and can't work and solve their riddles, their problems, their challenges, whatever you want to say.
Which we do that ourselves too.
Yeah.
Have to solve our own riddles.
Yeah. So what was the hardest part?
The gates, multiple,
Yeah.
many gates. And
You still good with that answer?
you're looking for something else.
No. I'm not. I just told you I'd give you a chance to change your mind later if you wanted.
I mean, project managing is not, but I'm used to that. That's kind of, managing people is hard in general, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, and there's a lot of moving parts,
There are.
Between everything. Like there's a lot of stuff going on and just trying to stay on top of all of that. And what was your favorite thing?
The variety.
The
I mean, working here, getting to bid, when you started, you said you can bid whatever you want.
Yeah.
So you're not trying to.
Anything, anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I know.
So
that was pretty cool. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, no. So we were talking about that yesterday, right? And so we were talking about like, here's your goal. This is the goal that we try to bid, right? So every estimator, here's what you're responsible for bidding. And Perry, and I'm not calling you out or anything like that. I think it's a cool conversation. And so Perry's kind of like, well, what about winter, right? Because I mean, bidding is going to get slower in January and, around the holidays and all that stuff. And there's not going to be as many jobs. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. My opinion of it is the number of jobs you can bid are unlimited, right? The confines that we put on ourselves are what limits us to the number of jobs that we can bid. So maybe that's the geographic area that we'll work in, the size of job, the type of job, whatever that is, right? We put restrictions on ourselves. But I think if you really want to find, 1,000 jobs a year to bid or 10,000 jobs a year to bid or whatever, they're out there somewhere. Now, I think I don't remember what random country we threw out, Malaysia or whatever. Like you might wind up looking in some crazy places to find them, but they're there. Now,
but
are you wasting your time bidding a job in Malaysia when it's a 300-foot straight line of fence?
Probably.
Yeah, you probably are. But so that's where the question is, right? Is how many jobs could you bid everywhere that's even worth going after?
And I think my point was more, I'd rather bid fewer jobs and have a higher close ratio than trying just to bid thousands of jobs and hoping something sticks.
Right. So you want to go after the jobs
that I'll win,
that you'll win, not all the jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I'm like Pokemon, man. You got to bid them all.
I just like seeing higher close rates.
Yeah. No, it's cool to sell stuff for sure.
I mean, that's the whole point, in my opinion.
Right. I mean, if we're just out here bragging about how many jobs we bid, we're not really doing much. That's cool. But how many do we sell?
I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Dan, what's the ideal job you go for and location and why? Oh, man. So the ideal job, I'm going to talk about us as an organization, not me specifically, because well, let me just do that one first, right? Me specifically, I just want to bid crazy stuff that I think 95% of people that are in the fence industry would look at that job and say, there ain't no freaking way I'm going to bid this thing, right? It's too scary. It's too complicated. It's too big. It's too far. It's too whatever. And I'm not going to do it. That's what I want to bid, because I think that what it does is it'll, like I said, if 95% of the people that look at it won't bid it, like it just eliminated 95% of the competition that exists for that project. I think competition is good. But I think if we can have some sort of, an edge here and there, I'm not opposed to that either, right? Us as an organization, and we try to bid every job that is available to us inside of our immediate area. So within so we actually prioritize them right?
do.
Depending on the location. And I can't remember.
I'm going to say an hour
I think anything within an hour is
is
priority
local.
1.
Right. And
And
then an
then,
hour to 3 hours, I think, is the next.
yeah. So
Or is
it
it?
we have it stepped up like that, right? So we we basically decided a time distance, right? And if it's within an hour or whatever that number is, that's priority 1. And then, you just keep going further and further out. And that's how we kind of prioritize which projects to bid. So the ideal type, I don't know that I have an ideal type, right? Like I don't want to bid a bunch of the little 40-foot jobs,
The
you know?
further away, the bigger it needs to be.
Yeah. But I mean, even here locally, like if I had to choose out of a pool of 100 jobs, which one to bid, I'm going to look for the biggest job in that pool. Me personally. And that's the one that I'm going to choose to spend time trying to bid, even like locally, right? So if there's 100 jobs I have access to locally, I want to find if there's not one that's just ignorantly complicated, I want to find the biggest one. And that's the one I'm going to go after.
And you're going to do your customers too.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
so that's a whole nother thing. I mean, when we get into like the business to business world, like
I mean,
it,
you got to take care of the people that take care of you.
that's where it really is like service first.
Mhm.
Right. And so when they call, I mean, Kenny and Randy run that department, and I mean, they're freaking Johnny on the spot, man.
They are.
Kenny will be like, sometimes people will call Kenny and he'll be on their property in 20 minutes and like, hey, what's wrong? What's going on?
And fix it sometimes
Yeah. Sometimes
before he leaves.
Kenny will fix the freaking fence when he's there to look at it.
I insulted Kenny, you know.
Did you?
Yes. I called him a salesman and he said he was a fenceman.
Ah, yeah.
Which I respect.
Yep. But they they knock it out, man. I mean, they got their stuff like a well-oiled machine. And so in that world, like, yeah, like you said, service is the main thing, right?
Well,
Getting
even
out there quickly, getting them a quote quickly, doing the work, doing what you say you're going to do. All of that is like the most important.
I mean, your customers are your livelihood
Yeah.
in any industry.
Mm-hmm. And then once we get into bidding general contractor work, like you don't really get that opportunity to be there that quick. Like bid date is a week from now. I mean, if you bid it 4 days early, I don't think they're going to be like, "Oh, we're hiring you because you bid it early."
No, but I mean, you have your preferred. Everybody has their preferred subcontractors.
So how do you get to be a preferred subcontractor though?
You build relationships.
Relationships.
Exactly.
And you do that by way of what? How do you build that relationship?
Consistency of performing when they ask you for a proposal,
Mhm.
to make sure to get them an accurate proposal
Mhm.
consistently
Right?
over time.
Right? And then when you sell the job, you obviously perform,
Have to perform.
right? And so yeah, I mean, bidding the work, right? And bidding it competitively, I think is how you perform when you're bidding a job before you've ever had an opportunity to sell it. But the initial, like once you've done a job or two for somebody, you can have that kind of relationship and they know they can depend on you. The initial one is the hard one,
It is.
right? Getting that first job. So if you got a contractor that comes from out of town and they're bidding a job here, they don't know anybody. Right? That's the hard one, is trying to get that first job. But once you get it and you take care of them and you roll on, then man, it's all downhill from there.
And those are better customers than the ones that just look at that bottom dollar, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the ones there's one guy that comes to mind and he recently changed jobs inside of the company and I can't remember what he is. He's something, maybe moved from project management to procurement or something like that. But I mean, I 100% believe, because of the relationship that we have built over years, like that guy will go to bat for us
Mhm.
when they're deciding who to hire on a job. I mean, if he catches wind of it, he's gonna be like, "Hey, you need to hire them boys at Memphis Fence. You want it done right, and you want somebody that's going to work for you and do the job. You need to hire them."
It's reputation.
Yeah,
I mean, every job we complete
yeah,
is part of it.
yeah. So we're doing reps and getting that reputation.
Mhm. I mean, it is.
Yeah. So we're pretty much at the end of the show, man. Look at that. That's an hour.
Didn't take long, did it?
It doesn't. It does not last long. So do you have, I don't, the floor is yours, Perry. Do you have anything you want to say? Anything you would like to talk about before we hit that end button up there?
I will say that I appreciate all the opportunity. I enjoyed my time here in the fence industry. I, you know, you were gracious to let me have this time to help you and grow as an estimator, and I'm gonna take that forward with me.
Yeah. And that's, and I think anyone listening, I think it's important that you have the right mentality. And I think it's important when you hire someone to look at yourself as a way to advance them in their life. Right. So what I try to do and what I think is the right way to do it, because I used to get mad, right? Man. So when you gave me your notice back years ago, I would have been mad and I would have been like, this freaking guy, rah, 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 rah," right? And so because it was all about me. And what I've learned over years is that none of it's about me. Right. So when you come to work here, I genuinely want to give you something that you can take with you and you can go wherever you go for the rest of your life. And there's at least one little thing that you picked up here that goes with you. Right. And like that's just how I do it, man. And I want the best for every person that's on this team. And I want everyone to stay here forever. Like it sucks that Perry's leaving. Right. I don't like it. I want Perry to stay here forever. But I know wherever he goes, he's going to do great. And I hope that he took a piece of something that he learned here with him.
I did, and like I said, I appreciate the time and appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you and I appreciate your time.
I know you.
So thanks for all of you hanging out with us and watching the show. And Perry, thank you. Thanks for joining me on the show. And thanks for being a part of our family for a while here.
It was a pleasure and enjoyed it.
Thank you. And I'll see you all next week.